First up, though, Liverpool inflicted the heaviest ever defeat on their arch-rivals Manchester United, winning 7-0 at Anfield, a result that could be a catalyst for Liverpool's hopes of a top-4 finish. Before we get any further with the game yesterday, I just want to kind of work out what it was, because watching it, it was kind of hard to work out. Was this total brilliance from Liverpool, total capitulation from Manchester United, or the perfect storm, Sue, where the two meet each other?
Yeah,
here?
I think it's a combination. It was quite interesting listening to the studio yesterday, because you've sort of got Gary Neville saying, well, it was a capitulation from Manchester United in that second half. Whereas you looked at Graham Souness and he was saying, well, it was absolute brilliance from Liverpool. And I think has to be a combination, because watching Liverpool, they just looked the intensity, the energy, the quality, how clinical they were, how ruthless they were, because at 7-0, they could have actually got more and they wanted more. And I think there's been so many times this season that we've said, what's been wrong with Liverpool? It's been difficult to put your finger on it. I don't think Jurgen Klopp could put his finger on it. We were given lots of different reasons why it could be. And I just watched them yesterday and I thought, wow, this is what we sort of expect from Liverpool. Not a 7-0 win against Manchester United, but that sort of play and the way that they just controlled the game and the quality that they had. And I think, you know, Salah to Gakpo to Nunez to, that's your evolving front line. I think that's something that obviously Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool fans have wanted to see. We're seeing that evolve, and I think having players back fit is important, because it now means that Jurgen Klopp can rotate and bring players in. But yeah, I think anybody watching that game, no one would have predicted that, but I think we have to probably look at how amazing Liverpool were on the day. Manchester United will reflect, and obviously we'll talk about them later on, but we just have to say the brilliance of Liverpool.
Yeah, because adding to that idea of a perfect storm, if you look at the statistics, we saw a couple of efforts from Manchester United in the first half. We didn't see that Rashford one there as well, which on any other day he would have dispatched into the bottom corner, just sort of underhit it, didn't it? I was trying to work out what he did there. Liverpool, 8 shots on target, and they scored 7 goals from those 8. So it's not like they had 30 shots on target and scored 7. So it was statistically, it was an anomaly as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just so clinical from Liverpool. Every opportunity that they got, they seemed to put away. Obviously, you say it there, 7 out of 8. I look back to the Liverpool versus Real Madrid game, and you think of Liverpool going 2-0 ahead and looking really good, but then Real Madrid punished them from counter-attacks. Had the Marcus Rashford opportunity gone in, then you'd have seen a completely different game. However, they learnt from that, and they didn't allow that situation to happen again after that, the Bruno Fernandes and the Rashford situations. I think they learnt lessons from that Real Madrid game, which is what you ultimately want to do as a team. I think Jurgen Klopp spoke after the game, the Real Madrid one, and said, we can't replicate that for long enough periods. That's the goal. Well, they were able to do that against Manchester United. And the big thing was, Manchester United did come back into the game for a 15-minute spell where they did well and they created those 2 opportunities. But then Liverpool scored at the perfect time and then never took the foot off the gas then. They just continued to go after them. I just think it was one of those games. I've played in games like that and been on the receiving end of a game where you just know that no matter what you do, you're half a yard short of where you need to be, a yard short, and they happen, and they're a horrible game to be involved in. Everyone will say it's embarrassing, it's whatever. Yeah, it is. It's horrible to be part of, but they do happen, and they happen to the best teams in world football as well. We have seen some of the best players in world football who everyone will say, well, that'll never happen if he's on the pitch. It does happen when players like that are on the pitch, because sometimes you just get really, really bad days at the office, and the other team is just phenomenal. And that was the way it was yesterday.
Yeah, well, you talked about players coming back, the idea that Canate could play alongside Virgil van Dijk, and that back 4 was restored of old with the 2 full-backs in there as well, playing in tandem. However, I think it's fair to say that sort of players like Virgil van Dijk have looked mystifyingly off their game at times this season, yet yesterday, that back four were bang on it as well, weren't they?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think it's, we've spoke about a lot of players that have been key for Liverpool over the years that haven't hit the standards that we expect from them. They were back. Another player, Firmino, I thought was excellent. I think the last few games he's done well, but we mentioned all the forward players because they stood out because of the goals, because of the movement, the creativity, the intensity that they played at. But I also thought Firmino was excellent in stopping those counter-attacking moves. The midfield in general, Henderson as well, Elliott. I think you could go through the side and just say they were all at the levels that we expect from Liverpool.
I think the big thing yesterday was interesting was straight away the mindset of the team that was set out was, by putting Harvey Elliott in, it told you he fancied going after this game, Jurgen Klopp, and he believed he could get a result and being home team. I think that's what you'd expect as a Liverpool fan, and not playing Bajcetic. I think if you play Bajcetic, you're almost being a little bit more safe and having sort of more a pragmatic midfield and just a safety. But when you saw that lineup yesterday, you talk about Virgil van Dijk there, and you talk about the defenders, Rob. They can go as tight as they want when they know the press in front of them is right. Now, when the press is right from the forward three, which it hasn't been this year, you've got two new additions playing in that forward line. You've got Gakpo and you've got Nunez, who haven't really grasped when to go yet. They do it in periods, but it's not seamless. And then yesterday it all came together, and that was what we were saying. Sometimes things just come together well and it works exceptionally well. Then there's a knock-on effect where the midfield now can go and press because the forwards are doing it in the right way and they're pressing into the right areas. They're showing them where they need to show them to, so then the midfield can press. That allows then the defenders to go as tight as they want. It was also interesting listening to Virgil van Dijk talking when he picked up his injury just before the Wolves game, and he said, coming back from the Wolves game, and he said, I'd almost played too much football. My body just couldn't take it anymore. And there was times on here where we were saying Virgil van Dijk he doesn't look like he can sprint. I mean, his body was probably that fatigued. But the Wolves game, I was at the Wolves game on Wednesday night for Sky, and it was the first time I've seen Van Dijk sprint in a 1v1 situation and make body contact. Now, whether that's because of the injury he's had or just hasn't felt physically strong enough to do it. But yesterday, again, there was a run with Marcus Rashford where I'm thinking Rashford's going to run away from him here. Didn't get away from him once. And Virgil van Dijk was within half a yard of him and straight away made body contact. And I thought, that's completely different to what we've seen from the first half of the season. So it looks like that rest has also done him well.
Yeah. Well, to balance this out in some way, there might be a few straws I'm clutching at here, but 7 seems to be the number that Liverpool fans are understandably banding around. But if you're a Manchester United fan, you're also going to bandy about the number 7 because they're 7 points clear of Liverpool. That result yesterday leaves United 7 points clear. Yeah. Liverpool, Sue, still have to go to Manchester City. They've still got to play Arsenal. I would in any other season say they've still got to go to Stamford Bridge, but I think we can just forget that one. And Keighley, the last weekend of April, they have to play Tottenham, albeit at home. So that result yesterday, can that change a season, the mindset? Are they now favourites to get top 4, despite all those statistics I've just put in there?
Well, absolutely, it can change the mindset. It can give you a real boost, which I'm sure it will. Yes, there's a lot of teams competing for that top 4, but I think it was a vital 3 points in the fact that Tottenham got beat and also Newcastle got beat, so it just gets them that little bit closer. But of course, what a boost that is going to give you. But straight away, even though it's 7-0 against, one of your biggest rivals, Klopp said it's only 3 points and we've still got a long way to go, and we have to then focus on the next game, and then we focus on the next game, and that's what they have to do. But of course it's a confidence thing, isn't it, as well, for those players performing at that level. Stephen mentioned it earlier in terms of the sort of unity or how they go in unison. I think that's probably a better word. We've always said about Liverpool, the front 3 press, the midfield go, the defenders press. We haven't seen that. We've seen it in glimpses, we've seen it in parts this season. Against Manchester United, it all worked, didn't it? It all clicked perfectly, and sometimes that happens, and that's what they'll be hoping will continue for the latter part of the season.
Favourites for top 4?
Yes. I still think even if they'd have won that game 1-0 yesterday, that would have still sent a message out, because it was Manchester United in great form at the moment, off the back of a cup final win, backing it up in the week with another victory, and you just look at it and say, what Liverpool have done there is sent a message to Newcastle and Spurs to say we can go on a run. And we've always said it, we know they're capable. But that yesterday, because of how emphatic it was, I think now the teams who they're hunting down will be fearing Liverpool.
Stephen, interesting to get your thoughts on, before the game, a plane with the banner saying FSG out, Klopp in, enough is enough, flew over the stadium. Can you explain for perhaps people who are outside the Anfield Liverpool bubble what exactly the gripe is here? Because from the outside looking in, FSG have delivered every major trophy.
Yeah, I think the big thing that, and this is, and I'm going to say it now, a minority, a very, very small minority of people, and a lot of Liverpool fans, and I'd say the majority of Liverpool fans, would not agree with that banner that is being flown overhead. The reason they have a gripe, this minority of people, is that they feel that there should be more funds given to Jurgen Klopp to be able to compete against Manchester City, Manchester United and Chelsea in the spending of the big clubs. Now, it's never been the model of FSG. They're in the process of redeveloping the Anfield Road. They've already redeveloped the main stand, which has taken Liverpool's sort of commercial ability up to the standards of Manchester United and the revenue. So they've actually caught up off the pitch, which is incredible, away from the pitch as well, commercially throughout the world. They do better in shirt sales. Commercially, they've created the brand, made the brand a better brand. So that works. But the side of it, which is very interesting, is they just think that FSG should go, well, there's 100 million or 200 million, go and buy these players. But that's not sustainable to do that. They don't have the deep lying pockets that other teams have. Their model works, and it works with Jurgen Klopp. To win a Champions League, be in 2 Champions League finals that they've lost, to be in a Europa League final, which they lost, straight away you've got 4 major finals and you've won one of them. Won a Super Cup, the
World Club
Championship, yeah, a Premier League title, Carabao Cup, an FA Cup. That's not bad at all. When you're competing against Manchester City, who are the benchmark, and not in terms of spending, we're talking in terms of winning Premier League titles, they have been phenomenal. But for Manchester City, Jurgen Klopp and FSG would have won so much more. They've also redeveloped or changed the training ground. They've sold Melwood, they've moved to Kirby, where the academy is. They've built a new complex, which is upwards of 50 million. Now people will go, I don't care about the training ground. Well, if you want to attract players want to walk in. They don't play at Anfield every single day. They don't train there. They train at the Access Centre in Kirby. So that has to be top facilities, the best pitches, the rehabilitation, everything that they do every single day to make sure that when they do step onto Anfield, they're in the best condition they can be. You've got to be ready for everything. When you go in, when you turn up at the Access Centre, everyone will straight away go, man, training here every day. This is state-of-the-art stuff, and this is the best that we can ask for, and that is what they've done as well. They've provided that. So I don't understand what people are doing. And just to point out another thing, there was an FSG out meeting where they held it in a venue in Liverpool, and there was photos taken that no one had turned up. So it's a minority of people.